At the outset, greetings to you all from the Ecumenical Water Network of the World Council of Churches here in Geneva. I would like to also congratulate the NCCI Youth, its Executive Secretary, Reverend Sweetie Helen, the other team members of the Commission of Youth, for choosing such a pertinent theme uh, to discuss among the young theologians. The theme of ecclesiology in a cyber age is very pertinent and probably the need of the hour. Well, today in the churches around the world, particularly in Europe, if you see that the churches are not only struggling to increase the membership, they are even struggling to retain their membership, and it is going down the congregation strength by the day. And particularly the young people are finding increasingly disinterested in the affairs of the church. And I think the youth feel a lack of interest in the church affairs because today in the cyber age they would rather on a weekend spend time on the social networking sites, the Facebook, Twitter, and so on, interact with their virtual friends, then come and spend almost half a day in the church, which doesn't give them probably much recognition or role to play, maybe just other than singing in the choir and so on. Recently, I read an interesting news about a church in Europe which just was left with a handful of octogenarian, and then there were no young people as such. So the church, in order to attract the young people, uh, they tried to install computers and tablets on the pews with internet connections, so that if the youth get bored listening to the sermon or the liturgies, then they might just surf the internet or whatever, but then they will remain in the church. Well, that's another extreme situation, and then I don't think that's the solution to bring in, encourage young people to the church. And I think in India, the situation is at least not that bad yet in the churches, and but still, I feel the same, that the young people are more and more feeling a disconnect between themselves and the affairs of the churches. So, how can the advantages of the cyber age can be implemented in the churches? So, the ecclesiological ministry in a cyber age, what are the advantages and disadvantages? I think quickly I can summarize certain things which has come to my mind. Um, I think the youth has a lot of potentialities, and they are well aware and well versed with the cyber world, with the technology. Through social networking sites like the Facebook, Twitter, and so on, they can spread the work of the church, and they can connect with people who no more come to the church, but everybody else, young and old, they are in this Facebook or on Twitter, and they can run a website for the church, they can run newsletters for the churches, and they can possibly give a more visibility to the church, and they would get a sense of ownership because you are trusting them and in their ability. And they have done this for the corporate world, for their employer, for the IT companies that they are working for. So they can easily do it for a church, and they feel involved and productively. Uh, at the EWN, we did have a Lenten campaign. It's called the 7 Weeks for Water. I think NCCI Youth also has been following this. And this gives an opportunity to the young people in order to discuss virtually the theological reflections around water, and various actions and responses around water issues virtually with people from different parts of the world. And this has been very successful, and we are getting increasingly positive responses to this initiative of EWN. Sometimes the youth get uncomfortable talking to the pastor on their adolescent issues. Maybe they are getting a crush on someone, or they are having different feelings for the person from the opposite sex or whatever. They can talk to the pastors anonymously through the internet, and there is a possibility to make a connection and then counsel these disturbing minds of the young people. The church can win back these young people as such. But there's not all advantages to my mind. There are disadvantages as well, because the cyber world has its own set of challenges. Most of the youth are addicted to the internet or social media, and many of them tend to get more comfortable in the virtual world than in the real world. Some of them are too shy to make new friends, too shy to talk to strangers in the church or congregations, and then they get also ignored by the pastor or by the other congregation members. And then ultimately they find comfort in this virtual world, and they get sucked into this, they get drawn into this, and into the virtual world. And many times we have seen it in the news also, that some youth, they get tricked into a lot of false relationships. Many of them are stalked, many of them are abused by their these virtual friends, and even it cost them their life. We have seen it happening mostly in US or in Europe, of course. So the church, the pastor, the congregation have a responsibility in order to effectively have their ecclesiological ministry in the cyber age. They should look at the possibilities of the pros and cons of using the technology to strengthen the church and the ministry. And I think I wish you all well, as you are going to discuss in the coming 2 days on this pertinent issue. Come up with innovative ideas. This was just off the cuff, what was in my mind I have now just shared with you. But you can share your findings, your guidelines, your suggestions with all of us, and even we will see that how even here at the WCC we can possibly emulate some of these, because to my understanding we do not have a clear position or guideline as such available with us to have this ecclesiological ministry in a cyber age. So my good wishes to all of you, and I look forward to hearing from you again. Thank you very much for listening to me. Bye-bye.